It started with a pillow. This pillow, in fact. Just wanted to freshen up the living room. A little lift, a lick of paint maybe, something mustardy to go with my beautiful pillow and my curtains and my blue walls. But then, rookie move, I took my husband to the paint store with me. Now, my husband is a marvel. He can build a bench out of scraps and conjure a fireplace around out of fairy dust and plywood. But colour, well, let's just say 3 shades off is still 3 shades off. We did paint it anyway, of course we did. Did we hate it? Immediately. Naturally. But did I panic? No, I didn't. I grabbed the tin, chucked in some black and a splash of red, gave it a really big stir, and painted the whole thing again. Is it perfect? No, but it's definitely better, and honestly, it's only paint. So let me show you the glorious disaster in motion. It all started out quite well. I put a little bit on the brush and painted a little bit on the wall and thought, you know what, it'll dry darker. And then as I waited for it to dry, I gave it another little coat because I thought, oh, you know what, it'll dry darker. And then I thought, well, it'll be okay. So I pulled all the furniture away and I moved everything and filled all my holes and just kept looking at the paint and thinking, it'll dry darker. But it didn't dry darker. It just got brighter and brighter. You've got to give me marks here for perseverance, because the colour swatch said Dijon, but the colour that was coming out was reeking of regret. Some yellows say cheerful. Mine was saying school hallway 1983. But still, I persevered and went with another coat, hoping for it to get darker. And then I realised, if you've never painted your room the colour of a boiled egg yolk, are you even trying? Well, it was supposed to be warm and inviting. Instead, it felt like the inside of a highlighter marker pen. It was not good. But I didn't want to back down. I didn't want to give in. I just kept thinking, no, once I've got all the furniture back in place and once I've got the fireplace painted, it'll be great. I just know it would. I knew I wanted to add in some panels, so I thought, just add them in and keep painting. It'll all be okay. I grabbed the remainder of the panels that I did in the library, used my spirit level, marked up the walls with pencils, even threw the paint on the fireplace thinking, oh yeah, once I see it, I'm going to love it. It's going to be great. And I went ahead and continued with the job. I stuck up all my panel tiles and then went ahead and painted them as well. Now, you would think by this point I would have realised, because my husband had come in and gone, ooh, that's bright, isn't it? My son had come in and said, wow, that's yellow. And still, I didn't stop. I just kept saying, trust the process. You know what I'm like with my colours. I know what I'm doing. When deep down inside, I was thinking, God, what have I done? This is awful. Please let this look okay when it comes to the end. The trouble was, it was like right from the beginning, I knew I got the wrong colour. As we're looking at the paint swatches, I knew the colour I wanted and it was so much darker. And then my hubby said, no, it'll be nice and bright on the wall. And then as I'm actually painting on the wall, he's going, well, I don't think I like this. I don't think I like this colour. But I kept thinking, I kind of talked myself into it. I kept looking at it thinking, no, you know what, it's going to be so nice, it's going to be so reflective, it's really going to brighten the room up, it's going to make it look so cheery. So I carried on. It was, God, you've got to give me something here for perseverance. I was relentless. I just kept painting and painting. I was like a thing possessed. So the fireplace got it next, and after 2 coats on the fireplace, and I went to bed and thought, yeah, you know what, no, this is just not going to work. This is awful. And I thought, I'll leave it 24 hours, maybe it'll grow on me, but it didn't. And then I started hearing the comments, and I knew I had to make a change. I went to bed and I dreamt of warm mustard and golden afternoon light, but what I woke up with was boiled egg beige, nicotine stained wallpaper and a hint of 1970s Tupperware, and I knew I needed something beautiful, so I decided I was going to make myself a new coffee table. So this is what I started with. This was $5 at the local thrift store. It was damaged on the corner and they were going to be throwing it away. And I said, no, that's fine. I'm going to upholster this. I'm going to make myself the most gorgeous tufted coffee table / ottoman. So I marked out 6 spots, and I did have, I think I had 6 of those buttons that you can recover yourself. I had everything else, the padding, the material, everything was ready to go. So I measured my 6 points and then I drilled a hole, and what the idea was, I was going to glue on 2 layers of padding, then a piece of sort of quilted material, then I was going to cover it all with this lovely like grey blue, it's upholstery material, but it's like a velvety, a brush velvet almost, but it's lovely, it's really nice. It's because it's upholstery material, you can wipe it, if the dog makes a mess on it, if I spill something, it'd be great. So I've had this for a while, my friend gave me a bolt of it, and I knew I wanted to make this, so I thought this is the perfect opportunity. So I cut 2 layers of this padding, the foam. I had enough for 1 big piece, and then I stuck pieces together underneath, so I had a decent topping of foam on it. And then once that was done, I covered the whole thing with a layer of like a quilting material, just a white quilting material. So you can see this is the bottom layer, so I just sort of pieced this together, glued it all in place, and then added the 1 big piece on top, so it was 2 complete foam layers and a layer of white batting, which went on right on top of everything, held everything into place. Most of it was glued anyway. And then I stapled everything and then covered it with the material. So all I did was stretched it out, did 4 corners, the middle at the top, the middle at the bottom, the middle on each side, pulled it all nice and tightly, stapled it all in place, and then trimmed it all. And all I did with the corners, I like folded it into itself and gave like little pleats, and it looked fine. I was going to be trimming it with just some nice trim that I had and little bits of tassel, so I knew everything was going to be covered up, all the staples. Well, I hoped they would be, but that's sort of where I was at. And then once I was finished, I was going to thread through the buttons, and I'll show you how I did that next. You can see it's all been trimmed, everything's ready to go, everything's stapled into place. This is the material that is going to be the top layer. I'm going to cut this just enough so that I can staple it into place. I'm going to add some trim all the way around the outside. I've actually chosen this lovely yellow and white trim. I'm going to glue that on, and then I'm going to top it off with this tassel trim, which is just a little bit fancy for a change, something I wouldn't normally use, but I liked it. And then once that's done, I'm going to thread my buttons through. So these were the buttons. I had the needle for threading through the ottoman. It has to be quite long as it has to go through the table and the foam. These are the little buttons that I made. It was just some little button shapes. I threaded them with the string that I was going to be using, stuck on a little bit of batten and then a piece of material, stitched it round with a running stitch, gathered up the running stitch and pulled it nice and tight, and you can see I made my matching buttons for the ottoman. This is really easy to do. So you've pre-drilled the holes. I take a dowel, push it all the way through the 3 layers, so it goes through the wood, goes through the batten, and it also goes through the material at the top. Once it goes through the material, the other side of the material, it's made a hole. You follow that hole through with your long sewing needle, which is threaded with the button. Once that's done, then you pull the button all the way through. I've got little sticks that I'm tying the thread to, and that stops it from pulling back through the table. Tighten it as tight as you possibly can, put a couple of good knots in, and you have yourself a tufted ottoman. I was feeling a bit better about things. The ottoman was turned out really well, so I thought it was time to add new light shades. I had been out thrifting and picked up 2 new lamps for $6 each. The bases were brass and kind of looked like candlesticks, but they needed a bit of work, so I decided just to use the lamp shades because they were a little bit more circular. And this is the material that I also thrifted, $3, and that is going around my lampshade. So I've done this 100 times before. I'm not going to pleat it because the lampshade is such a circular, it's such a great shape. You don't have to do any pleating. You just lay down your material, lay your lampshade on top. I run a bead of glue along the seam and then glue the material to the lampshade and then trim it afterwards. And then I've just taken an extra piece of trim and put it over the top and the bottom to finish everything off, and I have 2 new lampshades. So, like mustard left in the sun at a picnic no one enjoyed, I knew I had to get rid of this paint colour. So I went back to the original can. I had some black paint and I had some red paint. Initially I added the black and give it a really good mix and tried that, and if you can believe it, it was worse. It almost had a green tinge to it, which as I was putting it on, I'm thinking, oh, it's not so bad, but then no, it was horrible. So I went back and I added some red pigment this time, and that seemed to do the trick. It really seemed to take on the colour that I was hoping for, which was more mustard, less yellow. So I put Bake Off on the TV, had my new paint ready to go, and I started painting. Now, this does not, the lighting does not do this paint justice because it is more of a mustard colour. So I can't explain it. It's more like the pillow. You can see as the sun's changing in the room, the light is changing the tone on this paint. It has gone from the gearish yellow to a lovely mustard, proper old vintage inspired colour, like the heritage colours that I was initially going for. So initially I'd seen this paint colour in Benjamin Moore heritage colours, but I didn't want to spend $110 on a glow up job for, an afternoon paint job that it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be really easy, an afternoon's work that was really going to make a massive difference. Yeah, it turned out to be a 3-day job that really caused me a nightmare. But you can see the difference. The original yellow with a bit of black and a bit of red, and that is the colour that I've got now. So let's see how the finished job turned out. So here it is, the finished product. It is, I checked the heritage colour from Benjamin Moore, it is Hathaway Gold, and this is probably 90% there. It's probably a little bit yellower than the original, but I'm very pleased with how this has turned out now, and I'll never choose yellow again. But I will show you the ottoman, so tell me what you think of this. I think for the first time I've done this with the tufting, really pleased with how it's turned out. I have got a bit of a glue gun issue underneath the tray. There's a mark where the glue gun tip glued to the fabric, so if you've got any solutions for getting hard glue gun glue off material, let me know. I think I'm going to try the hairdryer, see if that works, but if you've got a method that works, let me know. Really pleased with how that turned out. Love the lamp shade, and I think the contrast with the wall colours is beautiful. So all in all, happy with the finished product. It's much better than originally thought, but do let me know what you think, and let me know what colour mishaps you may have had in the past and how you fixed them. So, what lesson have we learned here today? If you're going to repaint your living room, maybe go alone to the paint shop, or don't, because every misstep has a story, and at least now the walls match my slightly chaotic spirit. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me your worst DIY colour disasters. Put it in the comments, and you know it's going to make me feel so much better. So until next time, stay thrifty, stay bold, and remember, it's nothing a bit of black and red paint can't fix. See you next time.